After years of struggle, I bought a house for my family. My younger sister secretly put her name on the deed and sold it while I was on a work trip. "You were never smart enough to deserve it," she smirked. I handed her a postcard and said, "Check the signature on that contract again." When the buyer called her screaming, she realized, "I'm 42 years old, and I've worked damn near every day since I was 17. I didn't go to college." I started out doing night shifts at a distribution center, then moved into HVAC work, then spent over a decade in office facilities management. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid the bills. Eventually, I worked my way into a regional role with benefits, a company car, and a decent salary. For years, I lived tight. Real tight. I kept a spreadsheet tracking every bill, every grocery receipt. I skipped vacations. Skipped going out. My son, David, is 14 now. Good kid, quiet, smart. And I've been raising him alone since his mom bailed when he was 3. Everything I did was for him. So when I finally saved up enough to buy us a house, I cried in the damn bank parking lot. Just sat there, hands on the steering wheel, shaking. It was a modest 3-bedroom in a quiet neighborhood in Sacramento, near where I grew up. Built in the late 90s. Nothing fancy. But it was mine. No cosigners, no help. Just me. I put 20% down, got a fixed-rate mortgage, and signed the papers like a grown man should. Now, my younger sister Megan, she's a different story. Megan is 35. She's always been the pretty one. The one who knew how to flirt her way out of tickets and into people's pockets. She never held a job longer than 6 months. Our parents coddled her endlessly. Every mistake she made, they bailed her out. When I dropped out to work full-time, they barely said a word. When Megan failed out of college twice, they paid her rent, her credit cards, even let her move back home more than once. We weren't close, not really, but I didn't hate her. I just didn't trust her. After I bought the house, Megan started showing up more. She'd stop by just to see David, or just to catch up. Then came the favors. "Can I crash for a night? Can I borrow your car? Can I stay a week while I look for a new place?" It was always temporary. Always a mess. But I kept saying yes. Stupid, I know. Last fall, I had to go to Dallas for work. A 5-day conference. Company paid for the flight and hotel. I told Megan I'd be gone, and she offered to house sit. Feed the dog, bring in the mail, keep the lights on. I figured fine, she knows the place. I showed her how to work the alarm system, where I kept the spare key, and even gave her a few $100 for food. I had no reason to think twice. Until I got back. My flight landed late. I got an Uber from the airport, pulled up to the house, and there was a goddamn U-Haul in the driveway. People I didn't know were unloading furniture through the front door. At first, I thought I had the wrong address. Then I saw my welcome mat. My mailbox. My porch light. It was my house. What the hell is going on? I asked the guy standing by the truck. He looked at me like I was insane. Who are you?" "I live here." "No, man," he said. "We just bought this place. Closed last week." "Megan said you'd already moved out." My legs went numb. I couldn't breathe. I called Megan. Straight to voicemail. Called her again. Nothing. I got back in the Uber and told the driver to take me to my parents' house. My mom opened the door in her bathrobe. "Megan said you moved to Texas," she said, confused. "She said you sold the house." I slept on their couch that night. I didn't speak. I couldn't. The next morning, I went straight to the Sacramento County Recorder's office. That's where I saw it. A quitclaim deed, recorded while I was gone. It transferred ownership of my house, from just me, to me and Megan as joint tenants. Only I never signed that. She forged my signature. From there, she'd filed a resale document. Sold the house to a couple who paid cash. $420,000. Megan handled it all. She listed her number and her email as the point of contact. She signed everything. And she forged my name again. I sat in that office for an hour, just staring at the papers. My throat was dry. My hands were shaking. That house wasn't just a building. It was the one thing I had to show for a lifetime of hard work. And she stole it. I called a lawyer that afternoon. I filed a police report. We gathered every document, every email, every message. He told me this would take time, but we had a solid case. Real estate fraud, identity theft, wire fraud, and it was all in her handwriting. 3 weeks passed. Then I found her. She was staying in a short-term rental down in Santa Cruz. Some overpriced Airbnb with ocean views. I knew, because she couldn't help herself. She posted a photo of the balcony on her Instagram with the caption, "Just living my best life." When I showed up at the door, she answered in pajamas, holding a mimosa. She looked surprised for a second, then smiled. "You're too late," she said. "It's done. You were never smart enough to deserve it anyway." That's when I handed her a postcard. Just a plain 4x6 card. On the front was a photo of the original sales contract. On the back was a note. "Check the signature again." I didn't have to say anything else, because at that exact moment her phone rang. Her phone rang, and I could see the panic start to crawl into her expression before she even answered. She glanced at the screen. Her hand twitched. She picked up and put it on speaker. I stood there, silent. "Hello," she said, trying to sound calm. A woman's voice came through. Shaking, angry. "You better explain to me what the hell is going on. Our lawyer just called. The title on the house isn't clean. You said it was clear." Megan tried to laugh. "There must be some mistake." Don't bullshit me," the woman snapped. "Your brother's name is still tied to the original title, and his lawyer just filed a fraud claim. The funds are frozen. We can't move in. We can't sell. We're stuck in legal hell because of you." Megan fumbled to speak, stammering. "You told us he moved. You said he signed the documents." The line went dead. I stood there, watching her face crumble. "They're bluffing," she said quickly. "They're just mad they got a bad deal." "They're not bluffing," I said. "You're looking at jail time." She turned on me like a snake. "You think you're so smart? You couldn't even hold a real job until you were 30. You've always been pathetic. Always playing the victim. You forged my name." "I made something happen," she screamed. "You would have died in that boring house alone. I gave you a chance to start over." My jaw clenched. "You stole everything." For a moment, she looked like she might cry. But Megan didn't do guilt. She did survival. "You won't win this," she said, backing up into the house. "I already spent half that money." "I know. That's why the judge is going to love your bank statements." And with that, I left. But it didn't stop there. Over the next few weeks, everything got worse. The buyers sued her for fraud. She hired some sleazy lawyer who tried to claim I had verbally agreed to everything. That fell apart fast once my lawyer provided email records and the security footage showing me leaving for Dallas alone. Footage Megan helped record, time-stamped, and backed up. Then the bank got involved. Because Megan deposited the sale money into 2 separate accounts, one in her name, one under a fake LLC she created just weeks earlier. The wire transfers triggered flags. The FBI opened a file. They started tracing every transaction. The Airbnb, the car she leased, the designer bags she posted online. Feds had receipts for all of it. She stopped showing up to court. The buyer's lawyer started sending everything to my lawyer. Copies of threatening texts she sent them, emails where she claimed I ran off and left everything behind, even a fake power of attorney form she'd filled out and forgot to date. And then there was the worst twist of all. My parents didn't back me. They said I was being harsh and that Megan just made a mistake. My mother cried when I told her Megan might go to prison. "She's your sister," she said. "Family doesn't do this." "No," I told her. "Family doesn't steal the roof over your head and call you stupid for earning it." She didn't answer after that. Megan tried one last move. She posted on Facebook, claiming I was abusing the legal system and trying to make her homeless. She called me a bitter old man. Said I was jealous. I printed every word and handed it to my lawyer. My son stopped asking where Aunt Megan went. He just closed his door when I got home from work and didn't say much. One night, I found him on Zillow, looking at apartments. You're not going anywhere, I told him. Can you promise that? He asked. That's when I knew this wasn't just about a house anymore. Megan had taken something from him too, his sense of safety, his faith in family. And I wasn't going to let her keep it. I thought I'd seen the worst of it. I really did. But Megan wasn't done. Just when it seemed like the case was finally tilting in my favor, when the fraud claims were moving through court and her accounts were frozen, she pulled a twist that almost broke me. She filed a restraining order against me. She claimed I had threatened her life, that I showed up at her place in Santa Cruz with a weapon, that I'd harassed and stalked her. The filing was full of lies. Dates that didn't line up, events that never happened. But it was just detailed enough to scare me. Because if that got granted, I could lose custody of my son. My employer could suspend me. It could wreck my life in ways she couldn't even grasp. I had to scramble. My lawyer immediately requested a hearing and subpoenaed every piece of evidence. Cell tower pings, my company's travel logs, hotel keycard records, texts I sent from Dallas the same day she claimed I stood on her porch and threatened her. It held up in court. Her claim was denied. But not before the damage was done. I got pulled into HR at work. They'd received an anonymous email about the restraining order and were conducting an internal review. It was humiliating. My boss, a guy I've known for years, wouldn't even look me in the eye. And David? He overheard a voicemail Megan left on my phone the night before the hearing. She was drunk, screaming, laughing, saying I'd never see peace again, that I should have rolled over like always. David stood in the hallway just listening. When I saw him, his eyes were hard. She's a monster, he said. Why do you keep letting her do this? I didn't have an answer, but he was right. So I changed tactics. Up until that point, I'd been reacting, playing defense, doing everything by the book. But now it was time to hit back. I hired a second attorney. This one specialized in asset tracing and civil litigation. We went after everything. We found out she hadn't spent all the house money yet. There was another $76,000 sitting in a crypto wallet she thought no one could find. We got a court order and locked it down. But the real twist came when my attorney dug deeper into that fake LLC she used during the sale. Turns out, Megan listed herself as the manager, but also named someone else as a silent partner. A name I recognized immediately. Our cousin, Rachel. Rachel had always been close with Megan. They'd grown up together. But I never imagined she'd help her pull off something like this. My lawyer subpoenaed Rachel's bank statements. She tried to fight it, but once we showed a direct $18,500 deposit from the escrow company into Rachel's account, money that clearly came from the fraudulent sale, she cracked. Rachel came in and gave a full deposition. She admitted Megan told her I was moving to Texas and signing everything over, and that Megan had handled the paperwork herself. Rachel flipped to save herself. Her testimony became the nail in Megan's coffin. But the price was steep. My parents cut me off entirely, said I turned the family against each other. They stood by Megan, even after everything. My mother sent me a long message, accusing me of ripping the family apart for money. I didn't respond, because by then, I wasn't fighting to prove anything anymore. I was preparing to end it. The court date came 6 months after Megan sold my house. 6 months of depositions, hearings, subpoenas. 6 months of lawyers picking through every lie she told, every cent she stole. And 6 months of me walking past my own house on the way to a rented apartment I couldn't afford, watching strangers live in the place I built for my son. But when the judge entered that courtroom on a rainy Thursday morning in April, I felt calm. I'd done the work. I'd lost sleep, lost time with David, lost respect from people who once called me family, but I hadn't lost my soul. Megan walked in wearing a designer blazer and fake humility. Her lawyer whispered to her, but she just sat there with that smirk, like this was still a game, like she could charm her way out of it again. She didn't know what was coming. First came the buyer's lawyer. He laid out the fraud, forged signatures, faked documents, false claims of power of attorney. He had receipts. Then came my attorney, who calmly presented the paper trail, every false filing, every recorded contradiction, the LLC transfer, the crypto stash, Rachel's deposition. And then they played the voicemail, the drunk one, where she said I'd never see peace again. The courtroom went silent. The judge leaned forward and asked her attorney if they wished to dispute the authenticity. They didn't. There was nothing left to fight. In the end, the court declared the sale null due to fraud and awarded me full restitution. The house title was restored to me. Megan was ordered to pay back every penny, including damages, legal fees, and civil penalties. Total judgment, $612,000. She didn't have it, of course, but the court froze her accounts, garnished future wages, and placed a lien on everything in her name. Her car, her jewelry, even her future tax returns. And then came the criminal charges. The DA filed 2 days later: felony real estate fraud, forgery, wire fraud, and conspiracy. She was arrested the next week, in the same Airbnb she'd mocked me from. Megan called me from jail. I didn't answer. She wrote letters. I shredded them. My lawyer told me she took a plea deal, 2 years, reduced from 5. She's in Chowchilla State Prison now. Minimum security, but she's still wearing the jumpsuit. And me? I moved back into my house. Every room felt like something I'd reclaimed. I repainted the walls with my son. We built a new bookshelf together. We planted tomatoes in the backyard. David started smiling again. My job kept me. Turns out, once the full story came out, HR apologized. Quietly, but still. They gave me a bonus for emotional distress, which I used to build a security system. Just in case. My parents haven't spoken to me since. That hurts. But not more than what it would have cost to stay silent. Some nights, I still sit on the front porch and stare at the street. And I think about what she said, that I was never smart enough to deserve it. I don't know about smart, but I do know this. She stole my house, my peace, and my family's trust. So, I took everything else. And I don't regret a damn second of it.